وبالله ومن الله وإلى الله وعلى الله وفي الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. May the peace and blessings of Allah be on the noblest of the prophets, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his household, his companions, and all those who follow in righteousness to the day of reckoning. I take this opportunity to welcome you to another edition of Ramadan in 10 minutes. This year's presentation is different from the previous ones. We remind ourselves, we say something about Ramadan, and then we learn from the previous prophets. When we are done with a few of them, then we also look at some qualities we can learn from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then some of his companions. So, by way of Ramadan, reminding ourselves, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke about 3 people whose supplications are never rejected. In one rendition, he said, the traveler, when he or she prays, the dua is answered. Then he also spoke about the one who has been wronged, praying. When he or she makes a request, it is answered. Then the third person, the person who is in a state of fasting, when he makes dua, and the dua that he makes at the time of breaking his fast is answered. So the 3 people amongst whose supplication, dua is answered, is the one who is fasting. Today, we want to learn about another prophet. When we were learning about Adam alayhi salam, I said there is even some difference among scholars about who the first prophet was and who the first prophet was not, and all that. We spoke about Nuhu alayhi salam as one of the prophets, and I'm sure in one of our subsequent presentations we'll look at Nuhu alayhi salam. Today we want to look at the prophet called Idrees alayhi salam. He is usually referred to in English as Enoch. If we turn to the Quran, Allah described him, and I want us to turn to Surah to Maryam, Quran chapter 19, verse 56. Allah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Waskuru fil kitabi Idrees, innahu kana siddiqan nabiyya. Allah says, also mention in the book the case, the story of Idrees. He was a man of truth and sincerity and a prophet. This was the description Allah made of Idrees. Now I'll say 1 or 2 things and then look at how Allah described him. Let me say Idrees alayhi salam was born and raised in Babylon. He was the 5th generation of Prophet Adam alayhi salam. Idrees and his followers left Babylon for Egypt, where he carried out his mission, calling people to what is fair and just. He was the first of the children of Adam to be given prophethood after Adam and Shees, that is Seth, peace be upon them. So the first of the children of Adam after Adam himself and Shees to be given prophethood. What this indicates is that he came before Nuhu alayhi salam, and Nuhu alayhi salam was a prophet, and Allah has described Idrees as Siddiqan Nabiyan, that is someone who is truthful and sincere and a prophet. So it means that argument is settled as to who the first prophet was and all that. Because when we're learning about Adam, I said some scholars say, oh, he was the first person to be created, but he wasn't a prophet. Then some say, oh, he was a prophet because he preached to his children and grandchildren and spoke to them about what is good and what is not good and all that. And when we're learning the story of Adam, especially in the second part, I indicated that when it was time for him to die, he admonished his children, spoke to them, and then the mantle of prophethood, leadership, was passed on to his son, Shees, that is Seth. And here we are learning that Idrees was the fifth generation of the prophet Adam, alayhi salam. Now, I want to focus on the description Allah made of him. Allah said, Siddiqan, he was truthful, Nabiyan, and then he was also a prophet. As for prophethood, it is Allah who bestows it upon whoever he so places. But as far as Islam is concerned, we know that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last and the seal of all the prophets. So that one, there is just a little we can say about it because we can't do anything about that. But the fact that Siddiqan, he was truthful and sincere, this is something you and I will need to emulate, so that Allah himself will bear witness about how truthful we are. In one of the narrations of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said we should speak the truth because speaking the truth will lead us into that which is good, and that which is good will lead us into Al-Jannah, that is paradise. And the fact that if someone continues to speak the truth, his name is written down as one of the truthful. And we should shun, we should move away from falsehood, from lies, because it leads to that which is evil. And that if someone continues to lie, peddle untruth, his name is written down as a liar, and that will lead him or her into a hellfire. Let us always speak the truth, my fellow believers, because that is what will make Allah himself testify about how trustworthy and how honest we are. And that is what also will make the people testify about how truthful we were when we're living amongst them. And that is something that will get us close to Allah if we persist in doing that. This is a noble quality. This is something that is good that we need to emulate. Now, let's take a few of the sayings of Idrees alayhi salam, and let's see whether we can learn one or two things from it. He is reported to have said that happy is he who looks at his own deeds and then appoints them as pleaders to his Lord. What it means is that just be mindful of whatever you are doing. Like Allah says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha wal tanzur nafsun ma qaddamat ligadin wa taqullaha inna Allaha bima ta'malun. That all you who believe, fear Allah and be mindful of the deeds you are doing today, which you meet tomorrow, and still fear Allah and be aware that Allah is all that is aware of everything that you do. So Idrees was saying that yes, whatever we are doing today, we are going to meet Islam. And I said, none can show better gratitude for Allah's favor than he who shares them with others. Whatever you have, share it with others. And this is where time will permit us to come your way with Ramadan in 10 days. Inshallah, in 10 minutes. Sorry. Inshallah, we'll meet on another episode and learn from another prophet. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bismillah.